computer. Okay, today is week 1 of Watercolor Has Value. Color has value. So I thought I'm going to shift a little bit because the thing about watercolor, you can work in most any other medium typically. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. Back it up. There are so many rules that go with watercolor.
Oh no.
I know, and we're not going to do rules with watercolor. So I'm not, anything that I talk about or teach or in this context is experimental and play. I'll give you some guidelines just like I do with drawing, but I'm not going to give you all the rules because people say everyone wants to do watercolors. And anyone who has ever done watercolors say it's the hardest thing to work with. Okay? Because when we see watercolors, we see this lightness and this freedom, and you're just painting away, and it looks like fun, right?
Yeah.
But when you're actually doing it, you're forcing it and beating it and making it work, and it no longer looks like fun and play. So there's this thing that happens. And that's what I am speaking my truth. I wanted to do watercolors. I really wanted to do watercolors. That's the very first thing I wanted to do. And I took a watercolor class down in southern Indiana, Newburgh. Do you know Newburgh, Evansville
I
area?
don't know.
So I was in worked at Alcoa as a maintenance supervisor engineer. I was an engineer, and for fun, I took a watercolor class with an artist that was phenomenal. And the way she painted was so loose and bright, and she was a courtroom artist,
Oh,
and her watercolors were so beautiful. And I'm like, I want to do that. But I was like 26, I was young and not focused. So I took a watercolor class from someone else who had a lot of rules. And she taught me a lot of bad habits. And I was struggling with her because my work was overworked and I was never happy with it. And I let my own self-doubts do this. And I just wanted to paint vibrant, loose watercolors. That's all I wanted to do. So when I started oil painting, once I went through a lot of the mindset crap of an artist I'm trying to not let you go into, whenever I hear you go, I'm like,
Don't do that.
that's not needed. You don't even need that. You're doing fine. And that's the thing with my drawing teacher, the one that my mentor, my teacher, I said, I don't like working with watercolor because, and he goes, Michelle, watercolor's paint. You know how to paint. It's paint. It's not different. So watercolor is its own entity. And even when I'm doing these like the radish and painting those, I, I'm I'm not painting like a typical watercolorist would. I do a little bit of it, but I'm painting like me. So I'm excited about this, Nancy, for you to start learning how you paint.
Yeah.
And we just happen to use watercolor as a medium.
Okay.
So the one thing with watercolor is with the like acrylics and oil, you could use cheap paint and cheap brushes and get a good painting. A watercolor is a little prissy, and it's when you start right now in the beginning, it's fine. We can use, I enjoy this paint. I enjoy the koi painting that we're going to
Well,
use
and
this.
I do have that because you had talked about that towards the end of our drawing class. So
Yes. So I'll use the same palette that you are. And I enjoy these paints because they work really nice. They're cheap and they do a nice job. The problem with cheap paint is the way they make paint, they have a binder. Like for oil painting, they use oils. For acrylics, they have like a polymer, plastic polymer. And then they all come from powder, like uh, I forget the word, like um, pigment. They all, yeah. So everything, it starts with a pigment and it's put into a binder. So watercolor binder is when you go into a tube, you can buy watercolors in tubes. Have you seen those?
You mentioned that, but no, I didn't realize that was a thing.
When
I thought in a tube it was probably the oils or the acrylics or something, but not watercolor.
watercolor comes in tubes also, they're tiny. So when you go to Hobby Lobby to get your paper, actually, Hobby Lobby got rid of all their good paper.
They did? Why did they do that?
It's all artist loft.
Hmm.
Okay, when you buy it online, next time you go to Hobby Lobby, because you'll be going, or when you're online, look at the watercolors in tubes. Um, and there's when you're ready for that, now you don't have to have them. I have tubes of watercolors that are 40 years old, so they last forever. And you only use a little, you don't use them like you do acrylics and oils. A little bit goes a long way. But you can get really, tubes of watercolor can be really expensive. You can spend $30, $60 for a tube of paint.
Oh, wow.
But the thing about having good paint, it takes less, you, it's more easier to mix and it takes less paint to mix. But like I said, with I wouldn't buy Cotman, Cotman. Do not buy Cotman paints. Do not buy student grade watercolor paints. Don't do that. Even Winsor Newton is cheap. Now I'm starting Winton. Winton, don't buy it. You want to buy the more expensive paints.
Okay. What kind of paper are you getting to that?
We're getting to paper, and
Okay.
that's important. So when you're ready, when you say, okay, Michelle, I'm ready to buy some good paints, I'll tell you what to get. Okay.
Okay. All right.
You just drop me if you're off and doing something, just anytime, just ask me and I'll tell you. There are certain paints I do like more than I Holbein. There's certain brands that I like more than others, only because and each brand, even though it has a color name, ultramarine blue, each brand's ultramarine blue is different in brightness, in chroma, in the way each, that's the thing with watercolors. Everything has its own, it isn't like a pencil. You pick up a pencil, I like this brand, it isn't like that. It just has a more nuances and a variety. So once
Mhm.
watercolors that are really professional, they have one type of paper, one type of brush, one type of paint. They know their products because there's so many moving pieces. And I don't want to scare you off, but that's what makes it a little bit more difficult
Mhm.
or tricky. I'm gonna use the word tricky. Paper. Okay, what I have, Strathmore paper.
Uh-huh. Okay. What is it?
This is a color block. This is a block of paper. You don't have to buy blocks of paper are more expensive. Let me switch my camera. So I'm not,
So what's that mean, block?
I'll show you. I mean, I'm gonna spotlight myself. And I'm going to make a Facebook group. I'm going to have to add Mark into it because you have to have three in order. So he's there as a placeholder. He's not going to paint with us. Okay, so this is uh this is a watercolor. Strathmore is a good brand.
Uh-huh.
Watercolor, cold press. There's cold press and there's hot press. You do not want hot press.
Okay.
Hot press paper is smooth and you put a mark on it and it just sucks it in. You can't move it.
Uh,
So you want a cold press. And you want, this is 140 pounds.
okay.
Now I did learn it comes in weight. So I'm going to switch to camera real quick. So I took a watercolor class with a Russian watercolorist. Oh, he was good. He's a
Wow.
good painter. And I learned something from him that I thought was pretty brilliant. Okay, watercolor paper. It comes in cold press. You want cold press. It could be textured. The texture. So when you run your hand across it, you can have it rough. I think rough. This one is not so rough. I don't like rough. Some people do. I like not smooth, but when you run across, it feels a little bit dry, a little bit bumpy. Um, and this block doesn't, it just came as a block with that's kind of typical, but you can buy rough. But for now, the texture you want like a not smooth, but a little bit more. Um,
Okay.
I don't have a word for that. And it also comes in weight. So you have 90 pound, 140 pound, 300 pound. 90 pound, it's super thin. It's a thinner weight. 140 pound, and you can only paint on one side. So what I'm talking about, you can buy sheets. If you go to the back of Hobby Lobby, you're going to find paper and you'll see watercolor and you'll see sheets of watercolor. So you can get a full size piece of watercolor. 90 pound, it's you can only paint on one side. 100, it's real thin.
Uh-huh.
140 pound, you can actually paint on both sides. It's a thicker paper. 300 pound is a really thick piece of paper. It's almost like, well, it used to be like poster board, but poster board's so thin, it's thicker. It's a, so when
Stiffer,
you, huh?
stiffer,
Yeah, it's
sort of.
stiffer.
Yeah.
So when you hold it, it won't bend over. 90 pound would just flop over because it's so thin. 140 has a little bit of a thickness to it, but 300 pounds thicker. So what does that mean? On 300 pound, they used to make 400 pound.
Oh,
And
gee.
if you can actually take that heavy, I took a workshop with an artist years ago, and she would take her paper out into the driveway with a hose and a scrubbing brush and could
Oh,
scrub it.
gee. Wow.
So the thicker paper, and another thing is we'll talk about how to stretch your paper, because when you paint on a thinner paper, it'll warp. The water will make it warp.
Yeah.
Um,
I've noticed that with a couple of the little ones that I've been playing around with. It curls up from being wet.
or it does this thing, and then you get puddles of water, and so there's a way to stretch it. And we'll do that when you get your paper. I'll show you how to do that. So you don't have to buy a block. You can just get like a pad of it too. And I'll show you how to stretch it. So 90 pound and 140 pound, you have to stretch it. And I'll show you how to do that. It's easy. A 300 pound, you don't have to stretch it. And that is, you could buy pads. I don't know that you could buy a pad, a 300 pound, but you can buy pads of these. They all come in sheets, like 20 by 30, I think. sheets.
Okay.
And I'll have a sheet here next time. I'll show you how to prepare it. So next class preparation. So for you, I would buy 140.
Okay.
Paper, you have crappy paper, you're gonna struggle. So having nicer products makes the experience easier.
Mhm.
So that's why I was going to do something today to jump into starting to paint like that. And I'm like, I don't want you to start with the struggle. So we'll do that. But we will get a lot out of this class.
I'm sure we will. I have already. So,
Brushes. Okay. I am loving these.
okay.
They're watercolor brushes. You can get them at Walmart. No, Hobby Lobby. And what I love about them is they have different, they're water brushes, but they have different, do you see that? It's
Uh-huh.
a flat brush.
Huh.
And
I
then
think I got one of those with my paint.
you got the probably a round brush with a point.
Uh,
Yeah, you did. I know you did because I have one here.
yeah, it's got a point.
You got a water brush with a point.
Yeah,
Um,
I haven't tried it.
the type of brush, and I'm gonna do true confessions here. When I took that watercolor class with the Russian, I don't know, I may have said this, but he, he came up to me. It was like a 3-day workshop. He came up to me afterwards and he goes, Michelle, your values are so good. Your brushwork sucks.
Well, all right.
And I go, I know because I'm an oil painter
Ah,
and I was using my brushes like an oil painter. So, and now as I'm doing these demos, these weekly demos, I'm doing a lot of watercolor. I'm learning how to um, get the effect that I want with just like with Vine charcoal. Remember the technique, the way you apply it, the effect to get the soft edges and all that. It's the same with the brush. So everything I taught you in the very first class on values and edges and simple shapes, you might want to go back and look at that again.
okay.
Week 3, everything I taught you is what you're going to be utilizing and using in watercolor. They're not two separate things. They're the exact same thing. The only thing is a delivery, the thing you're holding in your hand.
Okay.
And this is really, really important. Just because you're holding a different tool doesn't mean that you go at it in a different way. It's the same thing. I had a hard time. For me, I'm drawing and I'm painting. I kept them separate. But when I start, no, and David's like, Michelle, it's the same stuff. Every time I go in, and he's not nice. I'm nice.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're not listening.
Yeah, I would not respond well to that.
I was willing to do it because he was such a good teacher. And every time I'd walk away, I can draw and paint to where I'm at now so quickly because of him. But I don't teach like him. Bonus for you.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna set some groundwork for you to hear today. Just because I'm holding a pencil or a brush, it's the same thing. It's the simple shapes, it's the value, the light and darkness, and it's the edges between. It's the same thing.
That'll be hard. I mean, I already feel like that will be hard.
It's
Just,
the same thing.
yeah, I'll have to.
That's kind of like your let's think about it. And I love this because now it's different for me when I use Vine charcoal because Vine charcoal is that go between, that bridge between a pencil and a brush. Because when I'm laying in color with the Vine charcoal, I'm doing simple shapes, value, and the edges between. So whenever I go to do a watercolor, if I'm going to go outside and paint, I'll start with the Vine charcoal. And that gives me an entry point into going from color, detail, what do we want to do? Leaves, grass. It gets me out of that zone into the dark trees, the dark value, the edges between. It helps me. That's my entry point into the painting.
Okay.
So, because you're at a point of cluelessness, you don't really know. You don't know anything, right?
Right.
So I
That's
want,
why I'm here.
so let's do that. Let's start knitting that together right now. Just because you're holding a brush making a painting or holding a pencil doing a drawing, it's the same thing. You don't have to shut down. You can start with, okay, what's the simple shapes? What's the edges? What's the value? You can start with that same thing.
Okay. You
Okay?
say so.
I say so. It's kind of like when you go to make um cookies, what do you have to have?
Flour, sugar, butter, or margarine or some oil, something liquid.
Right. And you have to have a pan and you have to have an
Yeah.
oven.
Mixer. Yep. Oven. Cookie sheet.
When you go to make a cake, what do you have to have?
Basically the same thing. Yeah.
So you're using your body, your mind, your abilities. You are those ingredients. You are that pan. It just happens to turn out into one turns into a painting and one turns into a drawing. Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. I know. I'm like, does that make sense?
Am I doing a cookie? Am I doing a cake?
We're doing a cupcake.
Yeah, that's right. Sprinkles.
That's the premise. You can't put sprinkles on the cupcake till you do the cupcake, right?
Right.
And that cupcake is built of values and edges and simple shapes. That's it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So enough of that. Have I beat that dead horse? Almost. Okay, so you're gonna ask different people, watercolorists have different brushes that they love. Um, I I found this brush and I love it.
Hmm.
I'm gonna switch cameras again. I found this one and love it. And you're gonna find one that you love, and this is it. And what I like about it, it's a uh, pointed filbert. And it holds, the thing about a watercolor brush is you want it to be soft, but not a little bit stiff. Do you see how there's some stiffness to it?
Uh-huh. Kind
If
of
you
halfway
have a
down.
watercolor that is really floppy and flimsy, get rid of it. You don't want that. It has to have just a little bit of a spring to it. Floppy, flimsy brushes, I mean, you're going to have, if they're too soft, you don't want that. They have to have a little bit of stiffness to them. And you want something, sable brushes are the best. They can be hundreds of dollars. You don't need them, but they can be hundreds of dollars. And sable brushes though this is a mimic. It's mimicking the sable brush because the brushes are red. But I'm trying to see what these are. It doesn't say. But usually if they're a red tone like this, you're looking at a watercolor brush.
Okay. The
Um,
bristles themselves are kind of a red color.
yeah, red color.
What you're looking at, yeah.
Um, and that could just be me going after, because I know sable brushes. You can get white ones, like most of them are man-made now and not because they're so expensive. The problem with a flat brush is it's not good for watercolor. I'll just leave it at that. And I'll show you why later. This one was my favorite until I did that to it.
Oops.
Like sadness. And once you do a watercolor brush, you don't want to mix it with an acrylic.
Okay.
You can get sumi brushes. Japanese brushes are interesting. They're cheap and fun to play with. For gesture paintings, that's later. Round brushes are good. Um, a round brush is nice to have. This brush is nice because I can cover a lot of area, big shapes, and I also can go down, since it has a point, it can go down to a line real easily.
Okay. That looks like the one I bought at the end of our drawing class, and you gave us a couple suggestions.
Is it this one?
It's pointed oval
Oh,
wash, it says on it, number 4.
okay, perfect. Is it flat or is it round? Let me see. This map.
You see it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's real similar to what I've got here.
Yeah, I thought it kind of looked like it.
Perfect. And the semantics or the way the watercolor brush works, it has a barrel up here. And when you get a watercolor brush wet, it's holding the water up here. And then
Okay.
when you put paint on your watercolor brush,
Mhm.
the paint, so the paint is up here and the water's back here.
Uh-huh.
And it creates a flow.
Oh yeah, when you squish the brush down a little bit, then it's
It
putting water.
flows.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But that's what a watercolor brush, a nice one. That the sables are really nice because did you play an instrument?
Yeah,
And
I play piano.
okay, did you ever play a wind instrument?
No.
Okay, that won't work then. Um, so and this is something to let wash over you. It's something I know, but I don't actually think about when I paint. But when you get the balance of water up in the barrel and then the paint on the bottom, it'll just flow off the brush. You'll get a nice flow. So, and that just knowing it's almost you don't have to think about it as far as okay, 50% like a science experiment. It's just that you had that thing where your brush was splitting apart.
Yeah.
You didn't have enough water.
Too dry, you said, yeah.
So you start to find that your own sweet spot of the amount of water that you need. I'm going to paint this. I need you'll it's more of a feeling. But that's what's happening. You want water up here in the barrel and then
Mhm.
the paint at the tip. And I say that and sometimes I just I'm bad. I don't even have my other oh, I'll show you my other one. My other paint. Sometimes I'll just go in here and just I'm like, I want paint on my brush, so I just feel it. I feel it. So, but I've got water first and then paint. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, enough of that. Let's see. Paper towels, doesn't matter. You want your paints. Watercolor is paint with water. So you want a little squirt bottle
Okay.
to wet things. And before you start painting, you want to wet your paints. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Where else are we? Oh shoot, okay, sorry. I put alcohol in that
Oh no.
for another reason, but that's all right.
Okay.
We'll see what alcohol does to painting. Okay, you want everything in a certain place. This is a mess. So, you want when you do your setup with your paints, you want them in the same spot all the time because you don't want to be searching for your products, and you're probably doing that already. So for me, I always have my paints up here, my water up here. I have a paper towel over here and one underneath it. So this is, and I'm right-handed, so this is where my paints are. We don't have to set up the palette because it's already set up for us. I'll show you how to set up a palette later. We don't have to mess with that, but I'll show you how to do that later. There is white paint on this palette. Watercolor paper is the white. We don't use white paint. It was funny. I was doing a demo Saturday Morning Live, and Susan, she's always there. She was there and she goes, "Why don't you use white?" And I go, "Well, I was told you never use white in watercolor." And the reason why, I'll tell you why. The reason why you never use white in watercolor is because it makes the color look chalky. And when you've got this big, beautiful watercolor and you use white to cover up something, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Maybe not to you, but to a professional, or like if you're trying to get into juried shows and stuff and you do something, it's an amateur move. So you have to be careful with white because it'll look like white out on your painting. It
Mm-hmm.
it does something weird to the paint, makes it look chalky. So then here I am trying to prove my point. And I used the white paint on this with paint and it didn't do what I thought it would do. So
you proved your point. That's why you're
boy,
not supposed to use white.
well, no, I'm like,
No.
well, wait a minute. The white didn't do what I thought it would do. It didn't make it look
Oh,
chalky.
oh,
It like, this is kind of cool. So I didn't know, I didn't prove my point. In fact, I'm like, crickets.
well, I watched, and this has been last winter sometime. I found a little YouTube video about watercolors and painting and what watercolors, but they kind of said the same thing with white. You have to be really careful with white. But they showed, I didn't actually watch the whole demonstration, but they showed the paper they used was kind of a gray colored
Oh,
paper.
yeah.
And they did a white lily or something. I forget what the flower was that they did, but the white on that gray paper looked really cool.
Okay. Yeah. The
Or
because
I think that's what they were talking about. I mean, it was definitely a darker colored paper. It
it
wasn't a
was a
white.
color paper. Yeah, that's a thing. Um, so pause at that moment. Um, color block or watercolor block. What it is or supposed to be, it's no longer, but it has glue on all sides. There's glue. There's a little opening here, but there's glue like gum rubber cement all the way around it.
Okay.
So you don't have to stretch this paper. It won't warp when you paint on it.
Okay.
That's why you'd want a block. It's easier. But what you could do is go ahead and get a pad of it and then use masking tape. You want masking tape. And then
Not my bright green painter's tape.
no color.
Got it.
You can't even, when you go out and paint, you can't even wear a colored shirt because it influences the color that the reflection of the sun
Oh,
off your
wow.
shirt. Yeah, so that will influence, and you saw that it influences your painting. So you want masking tape, and they also have a clipboard. It's a gray clipboard that's really nice at Hobby Lobby with a metal clip on it. I like that one. I don't know if I have my hands on it. And you want something that's at least 9 by 12 or bigger.
I have a great big one that our instructor here locally had us
Is it
use.
brown? Is it like a
Yeah.
drawing? Don't use
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
And the reason I say those are nice, the reason I say that it's you're using water on it. I think it's a masonite board, but if it can end up swelling it and destroying the surface. And you
Oh,
want
okay.
something a little bit smaller because you're going to be stretching tape around it. And why am I not? I can never find anything. I put things away and then, yeah, it's gone. Okay, so if you go into the clipboard area, not the brown standard clip, but it's a gray.
Okay.
And I really like that one. And it has a nice, hard, smooth surface. And don't get huge. You want one that's about 9 by 12. Not specific, you know what I mean? So you don't want this. You want something that an 8 by
Right.
10 piece of paper can go on.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So clipboard, but and then do that, and then masking tape. You can get painter's tape at Walmart, at Hobby Lobby. Check the price. Masking tape's fine. Um, it's just not as sticky. Yeah, go with just Walmart masking tape's fine.
Masking tape. Okay. I was afraid maybe masking tape wouldn't release as easy as painter's tape when you're done, but
You're
I
right.
think that.
You're absolutely right, and that's a problem with masking tape that you have to be careful with. But the only thing, it creates a tighter bond to the board, and there's a way that you pull it off. That there's a trick that you do to pull it off.
Okay.
Oh, and at Hobby Lobby, go ahead and buy one sheet of 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. And I know I did a quick Facebook Live in the group, in my May Love group, about I was at Hobby Lobby and I was talking about paper.
Yeah, I don't know that I actually saw that one, but I think I do remember you doing that.
Scroll through that and see if you can find it.
Okay.
Or when you're at Hobby Lobby, just take pictures and say, Michelle, is this what I need to get? And just messenger me and when you go, and then
Okay.
I can say yes or no. White. So yeah, the white paint. You can get colored watercolor paper, I guess, or you can paint on anything. And they make different colors, like a soft white or bright white. Personal preference, again, that's not a problem. I'm painting on and having fun with, I won't recommend, is this.
Oh.
And this I've been doing watercolor in, and it's handmade paper.
Oh, neat.
So she may
Oh,
have been
wow.
using a handmade paper. Handmade papers are fun, but
Yeah, that's pretty.
they're it's fun to work on, but it's not very forgiving. So if I start scrubbing it, it'll start getting fuzzy. The paper isn't. Oh, sizing. Okay, sizing is another one. This has a sizing on it, just like paper. It has a, um, and you don't want a paper with a lot of sizing on it. You don't want it really slick, because then the watercolor can't grab into it. Does it make sense? Yeah, it makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
If it's too slick, it'll just lay on top of it. Uh, Yupo paper is a fun paper to play with. Yupo, Yuppo. It's
Mhm.
almost impossible to work with because the watercolor is just laying right on top of it. But you get these really bright watercolors, and you're going to see it. You're going to see Yupo paper out when you're looking at the paints. The paint kits up here, there's Yupo paper, and I look at it like, it's really fun to play on, but it's almost impossible to paint on. But because just one little dip of water on it, you'll disappear. So that I've played with that in the past. It's fun. So there's all kinds of paper, and um, so yeah, I can see why she would use white, because you want whatever watercolor is luminescent, you can see through it. And what makes watercolor so beautiful is having the layers of paint and being able to see things. There's this a depth that you can get that you can't, well, again, don't strike that. My my oil paintings and acrylics tend to look like watercolors. So, um, Turner, Turner's a painter, master painter. He's a watercolorist, and his oil paintings look like watercolors because he knows how to get that feel. There's just the way you do it. So, but that's why watercolors are so beautiful, because they're luminescent
Mhm.
and not. So that's kind of what you want to achieve. Whatever. Enough of that. Black. Absolutely not. So on your thing, paint color numbers, lower right hand color 004.
Yeah. Mhm.
You don't want to use it.
Okay.
And there's this thing, Payne's gray. Payne's gray is awesome. No, it's not. Black is a dead color. When from the tube, it just it grays things and it just kills the color. So you don't want to mix with that at all. The white, I'm intrigued by. You can play with that. That demo when I did, I'm like, oof, that's kind of a pretty color. So you can play with it, but we're not going to rely on it for now. Okay? That would be like, um, any questions? Trying to think.
No, I was gonna say, I don't know. I have my list. I've got what I need to have. So, shoot. No, I don't know. What do you do? And maybe this is jumping too far ahead. So I've been playing around with other little, with watercolor, with my little watercolor packet here. So what do you do? Because I didn't know what I was doing. I've got some of my colors look like they're
Muddy? Dirty?
muddy. Yeah, dirty.
Yay!
Yay, that's a good question.
Yeah, because I'll show you how to clean your watercolors. See, the thing about watercolor, it never dies. You can always add water to it. You can always you can always activate it with water. Acrylic, when it's dry, it's plastic, it's done. Once it's dry, you can't make it wet again. So watercolor, that's you just add water and you can redo it. So you have to be careful, like with a painting. If you have a finished painting, you get wet, you're gonna. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
How do you clean a watercolor palette? This is funny. You're gonna love this. This is what you don't want to do.
Oh, wow. Mine's not that bad.
Do you do you see this? It is a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. That's hard for my Virgo brain to figure out.
I am a messy painter, obviously. So what you want to do, let me get clean water. And I'll show you how to do this. I could actually put this under the sink.
I would be afraid to try that.
I could put this, I could take this whole palette and put it under the sink. In fact, I do that before I wait until the last minute to set up for the Saturday morning lives, and I'll be in the bathroom washing this out. But what you can do is you want to wet them and try to clean water. It's really important when you do watercolors to work with clean water. Because if you're working in dirty water, you're going to get a dirty painting.
That makes sense.
I know, doesn't it? But do we always follow that? Not necessarily.
No, probably not.
So, and whenever you're dipping into color, mixing color, you want to start light. See, I'm dipping a dirty brush into my yellows, and that's why my paint's dirty. So you're seeing what you don't want to do, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes working with a dirty painting, you get some interesting colors. A muddy color, a grade color, which are really nice. And these three colors together make a really pretty dark. So, and that's me trying to get darker, 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 and I'm stabbing. So, okay, enough of that. Some clean paper. I put some water on these just to activate them. I'm just dipping. And then I'm just going to clean them.
Oh, look at that.
Now, whenever I clean a color, I want to use when I move, I want to use a different piece of I don't want to use this color into anything else.
Right. That would defeat the purpose.
Yeah, clean stuff. So, and if I go to the sink, I could just put this underwater and it'll clean it quicker.
Oh.
But then you're probably losing more of the paint, the pigment. So, and I like this color a lot. You know, this is kind of like whenever you buy eyeshadow, you know, you use one color and then the one color you like, you have to buy a whole nother packet in order to get that
Uh-huh.
color.
You run out. Yep.
You know what I mean? Um,
Yep.
with this, you can buy a tube of paint. So when this is completely gone, this color right here, this one's a lemon yellow. It's a cool yellow. Do you see the difference between the two? This is a
Yeah.
cool yellow. This is a warm yellow. When this is gone, I'll take a tube of lemon yellow, a cool yellow, and just squirt it in there.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I won't have to buy a whole new packet. So that's a nice thing about the um, tube paint. You can do replacements without, you know, you can replace one color. You don't have to replace the whole palette.
Uh-huh.
So there we go. This one's still a little bit dirty, so I'll just go in. There. So
Nifty.
that's how you clean them. And then I don't like to clean off my palette white whenever I start. I might have a white area. Um, okay. How do I want to say this? These are so mixed over, they're not worth keeping. That piece that I just took out, I should have left it because there were some nice greens in there, some nice mixes.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually don't clean my palette completely off because there's some color in there, some nice mixes that I like, and I don't want to lose them. And I can actually paint. I've got color here. I can do a painting with them.
Yeah.
Watercolor, you don't want to, do you see how there's a bunch of different colors in here?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to overmix. Um, Diane, my friend Diane, Donna's cousin,
Uh-huh.
she likes to mix like she's putting together a recipe. She over mixes and sloshes. So that's, you know, she's doing this. And
Yeah.
with watercolor, you don't want to do that. There's there's it's tempting, but she was a home ec, originally a home ec teacher, cook. So I know she's feeding that need. And it's just something you're going to have good and bad habits. And that's okay. It's just like with drawing, you just know that when I draw, I know the heads are going to be too big. So I just draw the head and then I make it smaller. And I work through it, you know. So you don't have to fight it. You just have to know how to. And she does beautiful watercolors. So
Yeah,
she's
she does.
faded. They're gorgeous, phenomenal. And her birds and stuff. Okay. So that's how you clean that.
Okay.
Um, I'll show you how to stretch paper. Yeah, I'm not. Don't have my board here. I'll show you how to stretch paper next time. Okay,
Okay.
let's get into color theory. Okay. Um, let's
This
let's
will
go.
probably come into your color theory, but so when you were talking about um, not necessarily cleaning out all of the different little slots where you've got like the greens that you've got mixed over here, because you like that color green, you might want to use it again. But maybe I would assume you've just done this enough that you know which colors you mixed together that made that green in the first place?
No.
So, so why save it if you don't know whether you're going to be able to get that same green again the next time anyway?
Oh, this is a perfect question. So, well, I'm a hunt and stabber, and whenever I mix color, I don't think green, I think warm, cool. All right. I'm not even thinking about I want to cool it. Where's it cool? I want to lighten it. I want to darken it. I'm constantly thinking that those things. I don't say, okay, I want this green, so I need, oh, you know what? Okay, that's for later. Um, I don't say I want this specific green, so I need these two colors or three colors to make it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't do that. Um, there is something that I do that we'll do later. Um, it's more about, and here's another thing. Nature has a variety of color. And when we're painting, we don't have to get the exact color. Now, when I do color theory, the applied color theory in studio, I would give you a paint chip and you have to match it perfect. I don't, I don't paint like that. The reason I have you try to match a color perfectly is going through the struggle of getting to a perfect color match. That's it. But when I'm painting, um, once I once I have a color, everything's relative. Painting becomes its own entity. It's my expression of what I see. So, and once I mix a color of green and start putting it on, and I run out of color because you do that, and I have to remix it, I don't work at trying to get the exact color that I had because if I get something close or it's a little different, I put it in. It's an evolution that changes and it's more interesting. So it's not like a illustration or a print where you want all the colors to match perfectly. And a painting, the colors can change. They don't have to be perfectly matched. Monet's paintings are so beautiful because of the varied and variety of color within a shadow. He just pumps as much color as he can. So he was never mixing colors to match perfect. So I started here. It's not like a wall. You know, when we paint a room, we want all the color to match, right, on the wall. It's not that. It's a painting. And I know in these colors, well, my habit, I know, and I pull straight from the green, which you really should be mixing your greens, but oh well.
That's why they put it in there.
That's why it's there. There's a nice dark green that's really cool. And if I throw some purple in it, then if I put this purple in it, I get some really cool stuff going here. And that's where you get to know your palette. So we'll have, in fact, I think I might have you do that. Um, I think that would be an exercise that you can play with. Okay, the reason I'm keeping this green in particular, it's not bright. So if I take a bright green and mix some of the into this, it will start to lower the chroma. Remember that?
Mm.
So let's jump into color theory real quick. So what are the four things of color? Four um, properties of color. That's a good word. We start with the color name. It's hue.
Hue, okay.
It's either red, blue, yellow, orange, green, purple. Those are the color families.
Okay.
Remember, you look at a color in your world, and you don't say, "Oh, I'm looking at teal." You say,
Yeah.
"I'm looking at the green family. I'm looking at the red family. I'm looking at this crop of dirt, and when I look at it, it feels like it's not brown. Brown means nothing to me. Brown could be chocolate milk with 3 scoops of Nestle's in it. Brown could be a pair of shoes. Brown could be a wall or log, brown could be anything. But when I look at brown and I say, what family is this brown in? It's not in the green family. It's not in the purple family.
Orange?
It's in the orange family. Or it could be in the red family.
Okay.
And there's no right or wrong answer to that. And this is something really cool with color. It's a sense. It's what you sense as an artist. And what I see versus what you see could be different. There's no right or wrong. And with color, I can mix any color I want with 3 colors, a red, a blue, and yellow.
Right.
And a white, if I'm working on acrylics. So a red and blue and yellow. And you can mix any color. And with this palette, I can get to a color, whatever color I want, using any color in here. And you know what I mean. So if I'm working in the greens, I know I'm using a yellow and a blue.
Yeah.
And then, so we got the color family name. You have the value. Is it light or dark? Is it light or dark? Watercolor light is less paint, more water. Dark, it's less water, more paint. More paint. That's like if I'm working with any of the colors straight from the tube. Or any color. Less paint, more water, light. More paint, less water, dark. And you'll see that. The next one is temperature. Okay, so this is watercolor, deals with water. Value in paint to make a green darker. Let's stay here a little bit. So if I have a color family of green, can you see this? I feel like I'm too far away. I feel like you're sitting in the back row. You're in the F.
A little bit, yeah.
I feel like you're in the bad student row. I was forced to sit in the back row one time. I'm like, oh, I know why they're not getting a good grade. And I would say, hey, come on, guys, let's shut up so I can hear, Anyhow, I know why their grades are low. If you have a color family, green, how do you darken it? How do you darken green?
We just talked about that the other day. Add red.
Red. So this is the opposite on the color wheel. But who wants to memorize a color wheel, right? So
Not me.
Not me. So the opposite of green is red. Christmas. You just know it. Own it, know it. And this is where it always gets a little wonky for me, but the opposite of blue, what's the opposite of blue?
Orange,
Orange, you got it. And purple, this is freaky, but the opposite of purple is
yellow.
yellow. So to darken a color with watercolor, more paint, less water. To darken a color with watercolor, if you got a green, you add red. If you have a blue or an orange, you add blue. If you have a purple, you add yellow. And yes, when you add yellow to purple, it will darken it.
Yeah, that seems backwards.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Okay, temperature. It's warm or cool. That's relative. You know, just like on your palette in front of you, you have a cool yellow and a warm yellow. Yellow is a warm color, right?
I always think so, yeah.
Warm is yellow because it's the sun. Yellow, red, and orange. They're warm colors. But when you look on your palette, look down on your palette, you can pick out a warm yellow and a cool yellow. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So, and right here is a cool yellow, and this is a warm yellow.
Yeah.
And just like with the reds, I'll get into the clean. Here's a warm red. It's almost orangey. And here is a cool red. Do you see the difference?
Uh-huh.
So that's a cool, it's red, it's warm color, but that's a cool red.
Yeah,
And this
that
is,
shows up better that way.
do you see that?
Yeah.
So that's a cool red, that's a warm red. So color temperature is relative. It's relative in what it's sitting beside. So this would be, this cool red would be like in shadows. This would be in, well, anyhow, I'm gonna stop with that. I gotta stop because if I ever tsunami you, if I'm talking too much, I'm going too far, you say, Michelle, wait a minute. Then,
Okay, I will.
because some of this you just have to experience. Okay, so you have warm color and cool color. So we know that the warms typically are red, yellow, orange, and the cool are blue, purple, and green. But they can, you can have a warm yellow, green, and you can see it on your palette. Number 114 is sitting right by 92, number 92.
Yeah.
Do you see how one is, it feels lighter and warmer? That one feels cool, doesn't it? I'm
The one
just,
on the 114 seems
yeah,
cool to me.
I know, but
Looking at it.
let me show you something. Okay, look at this compared to that.
Oh,
This one feels warmer, doesn't it? Okay, let's do a little test. Let's see. And this is the thing about color paints. Cheap ones, they're not the same. Yeah, do you see that?
mm-hmm.
And it might be because that's dirty paint, but do you see how they're different?
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Anyhow, enough. Okay. I can get I can get easily distracted. But of those two colors, one feels warmer than the other. And let me show you what I mean. Here you go. Okay. All right. You see it?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
this is a dark teal.
Mhm.
This is number 92. You see how
Okay.
cool it is compared to the other one. So number 114 is warmer than number 92. Even though when you look at it, it feels cool, probably because it's right below a red.
Mm.
Okay, how do you warm a color? How do you make it warm? How would I make this green warmer?
Um, add uh, or are we going to add red to it? Red's a warm color.
Red's a warm color, but that's going to darken it. I just want you to warm it.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, that's that's a good that's good. What are the two colors that make green?
Yellow and blue.
Okay, yellow and blue. If I want to warm my green, make it warmer, which one of these two would I add more of?
Yellow
Mhm.
is a warm color, so you'd add yellow.
Make it that will make it
Warm.
warmer.
Okay.
If I have um let's see. Okay, we'll do purple. Purple is red and blue. Make purple, right?
Uh-huh.
And I want to warm it. Which one do I add more of?
So the red,
Mhm.
the warm, whichever. Yeah. So you want to add the warmer tone to it to warm it up.
Warm it up. Yeah. So if I'm mixing a color and I want a cooler green, what color do I put more of in when I first start mixing up
More
the green?
blue.
Mhm. And if I'm mixing a purple, what do I add more of?
You would add more blue to the purple to make it.
Okay, let's play with orange because orange is this little anomaly, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
And it's all warm colors.
Yeah.
But what, remember what I said? We have a warm and cool yellow and we have a warm and cool red. And if you're mixing an orange, you would have to pull from the cool red or the cool yellow to make it, to adjust it. And I'm gonna be quite frank on this one. Um, if you want a bright orange, you don't want to mix it. It's once you start adding two colors together, it's hard to have a bright color. Okay. And I'm starting to run down some stuff. Just let that wash over you. And it's maybe more applied to well, if you want a bright orange, just straight from the tube is the best thing. Because
Okay.
you're mixing two warm colors together and it's hard to get that. So um and honestly, with orange, I don't use much of it in my painting, so we're not gonna worry about that. It's out. So if I want a warmer green, I add more.
Warmer green, you add yellow.
Mhm.
Warmer purple would be red.
Mhm.
So you add the warm. I'll have to keep that in front of me.
So try it. I want you to pick a blue and a yellow and make a green. Mix a green. And I would start with number 52. And you can pick 145 or 143, either one, to mix your green. It's up to you. Start with 52. I only say that because that yellow is cleaner. It's a cleaner yellow than the other one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And start with your yellow. Put your brush in your yellow first.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm gonna flip, flip, flip the camera, and I'm gonna do it along with you. Clean brush. You could use a round brush, whatever brush you want. It doesn't matter. I'm struggling here. Ignore me. And okay, you want to wet your brush, wet your
Mm-hmm.
paint, put some yellow down,
Yeah.
keep it clean. Clean your brush. I wipe my brush a little bit so it isn't so wet, and I'm going to pick a blue. And I'm not going to go in the middle when I drop it into the yellow. I put it on the side. And I introduce. Clean my brush. I'm going to add more yellow. Off to the side. And then I pull them together. Clean my brush. Add more blue. And I pull them together. And since this is a brand new palette, let's see, I'm gonna try something. Here's my old palette. Yeah. The minute you put this down, it just like, do you see the difference? This is an old palette that I worked on. So I laid
Uh-huh.
down my yellow. I put some blue down and then I pull them together. So I don't have it all sloshed together. I just start to. Okay. And then play with that and try to make it warmer. Add more yellow. Try to make it cooler. Add more blue. Okay, we're gonna do something too. Um, I'm gonna go into 143 with the 52 and see what that does. Okay, so then this one is
143.
52 and 145. And this one is 52 and 143. It's kind of interesting. It's not what I thought it would be. How are you doing?
Okay.
What are you mixing right now?
Subtle, subtle difference.
Oh, between the 143 and 145?
Yeah.
Which one's cooler?
The 143, I feel like is cooler.
Mine is, take a peek at mine. Let me see your eyeballs. Look, this is 145 and this is 143. And it could be that I have more, let me try to put more yellow in it. Hmm. Let me try to put more blue in it. I want to cool it up a little bit. Hmm. They're almost the same now. This is 145.
And no wonder they look the same then, huh?
Okay, this is 143.
Oh, okay.
That's 143. I don't know. I messed up now. Okay, this is one. Okay.
So the one in the middle is the cooler. Is that, am I reading it right? Am I getting it right?
This is why I don't do charts. Let's see. No, it's not. Okay, which
The
one's
one in the
more?
middle, the one in the middle is supposed to me that has a cool feel to it, but you're saying that's warmer.
Uh-huh.
It has more yellow in it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
This compared to that. Here, let me
Okay.
do this.
Okay, there. Now I can, that helps. Yeah.
Let's see. There. These are about the same value. You see the difference between this one and that one?
To me, what I see is one's darker and one's lighter.
This one's and it's a little bit, it's being washed out by the cameras. This one's cooler and this one's warmer. But yeah, it's a little bit, it's a little bit darker. But yeah, this one is a warmer, that's a warmer color. Green is, it's there. Those are about the same value. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Can you see how this one's a little bit warmer?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to do this. Can you see?
Comprehending.
Can you see how this one's warmer and that one's cooler? Am I
Yeah.
talking you? Am I talking you into it, or can you really see it?
You, yeah, no, you're talking me into it. No, I mean, I think I'm understanding. It's got, I see more yellow depth kind of to it. So
Yes,
it gives it a warmer green, where the other
yes,
one's got a bluish sort of cast to it.
yes, yes. You got it. That's it's that's um when I first started painting, I'm like, all I see is green. I couldn't understand the nuances or the separations. So it takes a little bit of training because green isn't all just green. Green has warmth. And you know something else that freaks me out is green grass in the sun, when the sun's hitting the green grass and and you're like, what's warmer? It's sun. But then you look at it and I isolate it. I'm like, that's a cool light green. That isn't as warm as I thought it was. So I'll stop and I'll just isolate with this one, my left hand and my right hand. And I know that, I'll see, okay, wait a minute. That looks warmer. This looks cooler. And I'll test them. I'll take a moment and look at it. So you're training your brain to see these things in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's why I like doing the color matching perfect, because I'll just walk by and go, nope, and then walk away. And then is it too warm? Is it too cool? Is it too warm, bright or too dark? There's this thing. Is it one or is it the other in comparison? But that's a first step. Okay, let's do a purple. So mix a purple. Clean your palette or in a different well of your palette. Don't don't mix into the green because we're just talking about color mixes, creating a green using two primary colors to create a secondary color. That's what we're doing. So we don't want to add a third color to it because then we go into a whole another room. So the purples are weird. Okay, never mind. I went to jump right into a color, didn't I? If you want a pure mix, you want to get rid of your color here, but I think we'll be all right. So start with a red, pick a red, anyone. And see, even here for me, I'm pulling all this paint off and then I don't know what I'm getting here.
Pick a red.
I'm getting grains. Look at that. That's disgusting. Do you see the granules?
Yeah.
That's not supposed to be happening. Okay. Well, I'm not going to use that color. That happens when you have old paint. Okay, red is a bully. Typically, red is a bully. So, and I should be cleaning. Oh, blue's a bully. Oh, that's a pretty purple. That's almost black.
Yeah. From here, it looks black.
Isn't that pretty? So I have more red to it. And see how quickly it changes? I'm just barely adding one or the other and it's just swinging.
Oh, that looks great.
That's why I like number, I love number 176. Look at that. Look at that purple.
Yeah, that's pretty.
These are mixes. Um, okay, I don't like, no, I'm not going to say that because they would have value someplace. If I don't want a really bright purple, I want a gray down purple, I'd mix these two colors. Okay, this is a little bit better. Number 22 and 143. It's a little bit prettier. There we go. It's a prettier purple. Um, Number 22, that red, and number 143 is a prettier. Not as, it's a little bit, it's not as gray as orangey. The warm reds are a little bit, it's a little bit too gray.
Now, I did 32 and 145. Did you do that? Was that what you did first?
I
But
don't
it's a
have it.
pretty purple, I think.
I don't have 32.
You don't?
I have 14, 17, and 22.
Right beside 22.
Oh, 32. I do have that. Ooh, that one and which one?
32 and 145.
I like 32 as a pretty red. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, that's too warm. That's too warm, so I'll add more blue to it. Oh, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a really pretty color. I'm liking 32 as a red. Ooh, look at that one. Ooh, that's pretty. Nice find. Uh, 17 with blue is really gray. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that because our this is an intro into our next thing. Okay, so of these two purples, which one's warmer? Left or this finger?
Left. Yeah, I'd say left is warmer.
That's warmer. Which one's cooler?
So the one on the right.
Okay. There's there's something about green. Which one's warmer? Which one's cooler?
The left one is yellow.
So
So that's
it's
cool or warmer.
warmer. Which one's cooler?
The one on the right.
Yeah, it's obvious with purples, right?
Yeah.
But with greens, it's like, wait, what? Why is that?
I don't
Why
know why.
is it because we live in a green world?
Uh,
I don't know.
I don't know. My grandmother always used to, she loved green, anything green. She just loved it. But she said, green goes with everything. You can put green with green's in nature. Look at green. It goes anywhere. You can always find green somehow. So.
Green is a new beige.
Well, I like it better than beige any day.
I know. Yeah, she's right. Green goes with everything. In fact, our skin tone has a green undertone to it a lot of times. Okay, chroma. Let's go to chroma now. So if okay, recap. If I want to warm a green, what do I add?
Red.
Warm a
A
green.
yellow, yellow, yellow. Sorry.
Here, I'll bring you to the front of the classroom.
Yeah, right. You were pointing at that big red, not red, but at that big R, and
You are not blaming me, are you?
I no, 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 no. That's my bad. Yellow.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Okay, red is an
Oh,
important color, but to darken a green, what do we add?
then we add red to the green to darken it.
Yes. So if you want to keep a pure, clean green and you want to warm it, what do you add?
Pure, clean green, and you want to warm it, you would add a little yellow.
Exactly. So that goes into chroma. It's from bright, this scale goes bright to gray. So to keep things bright, straight from the tube is the brightest you're going to get. The minute you add another color to that tube paint or to that color on your palette, you start to mess with the brightness. It's not as bright. And and you can see that with that purple. Let me show you. If you take 176 and make a little color, add some water and just make a color stripe. Just do a little swash of that.
176.
176.
Okay.
And put it near your other purples.
Okay.
Do you see how, is that brighter than the mixed ones?
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah. So the brightest the color is going to be wait.
What was that?
The brightest, the color, you can't make a color brighter. There is a trick you can do, and there's always things that you can, there is a little trick that I do with the quinacridone color and oil paints. I know how to brighten color. But for now, the brightest it's going to be is straight from the palette. And anytime you add a second color to it, it changes the brightness. Okay? It's just going, it happens. But to keep a color bright in a mix, adding a blue and a yellow, you don't add the red. It's straight, you add a clean yellow to a clean blue to get a clean green. To lighten it, to lighten and warm it, you add yellow. To cool and darken it, you add blue. Okay, does that make sense?
Right at the moment, yeah.
We'll go purple. So two colors that make purple are red and blue.
Okay.
I added something in that. To warm it, you add red. To cool it, you add blue. It's already a dark color. The thing about green, yellow, to lighten the color, you add white. If you add white, it will cool it. If you add yellow, it will warm it. Okay? But in watercolors, we're not using white.
Right.
So that's for others. So we'll leave it there. So to keep it bright, you just use your two primary colors, the blue and the yellow, the red and the red and the purple. No. You know what I'm saying. Use your primary colors. Red and yellow to get orange, blue and yellow to get green, red and blue to get purple. You use the clean colors to get bright. To gray it down, we add the third color on that color wheel. So if you have to gray and darken, there's two things here. I'm talking two different things here. But to gray something, to lower the chroma, we add its opposite. So there's kind of a mix. To darken it, we add red. But when you add a little bit of red into one of these green mixes, it's going to gray it. So let me do that real quick. Let me show you this. So right now I have this bright green right here. It's a mix of a yellow and a blue. But if I put just a little bit of red into it, not a lot, I'm going to gray it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to wet this and make a stripe. Okay. And if I add just a little bit of red into it, I don't want to darken it so much, but I want to lower the chroma. I want to kill the color a little bit, gray it. Do you see how it grays it down?
Yeah.
And so red can darken the green, but it can also gray it down.
Yeah.
if I add more red, a lot more red into it, I'm going to darken it and gray it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the original color.
Yeah.
If I'm working in my purple, if I'm working in my purple family, and if I add just a little tiny bit of yellow into it, oh, here, let me do this. I'm going to do a color swatch. That's my purple. And watch what happens if I add just a little bit of yellow. Do you see how it grays it?
Yeah.
You see it grays it down.
Yeah.
And if we have a blue, I'm going to go straight from the tube blue. And if I add just a tiny bit of orange into it, let's see. I took this blue and I add just a tiny bit of, where is it? Just add just a tiny, tiny bit of blue. I get orange. Okay, I added the wrong orange. This is where I should have mixed. Okay, I'm gonna mix an orange here. Don't watch how I'm doing this. I make a mess, so I'll let you know when you can open your eyes. Okay, we got an orange. Okay, I have an orange here. And if I add just a little tiny bit of blue, here's my orange puddle. And
Okay.
I gotta be careful because, man, this wants to go green. So I'm not going to use that blue. I'm going to try this blue. Okay, this is a better blue. One turned it to green. And do you see how that graded?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to use 143 because I'm like, okay, that's turning a green. I don't want it to go green. I want it to go gray.
Uh-huh.
So I don't have to memorize that this blue does that. I just I tested it. I saw it was going green. So I switched blues. I changed
Yeah.
my blue. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So mix an
So,
orange. Try that. Mix an orange.
okay.
And go through the struggle till you get an orange. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, so what did I use? 17 and 26.
Once you get an orange, just add a tiny bit of blue like I did, but to the side. I'm not corrupting my whole puddle. I just added it to a little bit to the side. And there's another blue on here, 147. It's like an ultramarine. I wish I had more. I don't have enough paint here. try to mix more paint than what I've got. And it makes a difference what two reds, the red and the yellow you use. Oh, that's a pretty orange.
Yeah, I was trying to, I think what I had was 76 and 17.
76. See, what's 76 is this one? And
Yeah,
17. Those are tries 52 and 14.
52.
I think 76 is too orangey.
Oh, to begin with.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, 52.
yeah, yeah. Try a more pure yellow with a 52 with a red. It's already an orange to begin with.
Okay.
So if you add red to that, it's just gonna, I'm sure it was out of control. And once you get a puddle of orange, try just a little tip of blue. I'm gonna go from, see, I put down some blue here, and that's too much. If I added that much into that red, it would just, into the orange, it would just go crazy. So, and I didn't want to add that much water, but oh well.
Oh, well.
Feel the struggle. And if your paint, see how dirty my paint is? Or
Yeah,
water?
mine is getting that way.
Okay, you want clean water. Take a moment. In your water.
I got another cup right here. I'm prepared.
Did you get clean water?
I had another cup already here.
Okay.
So yeah, I did clean my brush out good in the clean water.
Okay, good.
So
I
then
felt
I
like
get,
did you feel like a teenager? Did you get clean water?
yes, I did. So now I added the blue and I have more of a, I don't know, not as gray as it is brown, kind of,
No, the word brown doesn't exist.
right? So it must be gray then.
It's gray. Just add, if you want it not so gray, then um add more orange. Try that. Make it a little oranger. Brighter by adding more of the orange. See what happens. And I'm going to set up a watercolor. Create group.
So this technique of darkening or graying, I guess it is that something you would use like when you want to create shadowing? You
Yes.
an orange something or other, but one side of it needs to look a little bit shadowed, but you don't want to lose the orange. So
Here, okay. Hold that thought just real quick. I'm going to do something here.
okay.
I'm creating a group. Let me call it watercolor. So I'm making a watercolor. It's should I just call it watercolor? That would be easy to find, won't it?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay. So I'll send you a message. Oh, here. I'm gonna send a photo. There we go. Go ahead and take a picture of what you've got,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about that. Of why you would want to gray color down.
You get the picture?
I did. I'm looking at it now. Oh, I love the 32-145. That's oh, these are so pretty. Aren't they pretty? Color
Yeah.
splats. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, they are pretty.
Oh, look at the green one. Okay, okay, which one of those is the warm temperature color? Which one's the warmer green?
The one to the right.
Upper right corner, right?
Yeah.
Um, which one is gosh, a lighter green? Cool, cool light green.
The one more on the left is
Left
cooler.
to the
Yeah.
upper right, wait, no, there's four greens there, four quadrants. Do you see that? What? What are you talking about, Michelle?
Well, okay, so yeah.
Here, let me flip. So let's talk about this puddle because there's some yummy stuff here. Okay, you got your puddle.
Okay. So you're looking at that one.
I'm looking at this one.
Uh-huh.
This right here, this puddle, is it warm or cool?
Um, more warm.
Yes, more yellow. You can go through that. Allow yourself to, okay, that's more yellow, so it's warmer. You can let yourself go through that process. That's fine
Mm-hmm.
because you won't be doing that later. Okay, what about this one? Is it warmer or cooler?
So that one's cooler because it's got more blue.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Is this lighter or darker than that?
A little lighter towards the middle.
Yep, you got a light space. What about this? There's something about this. Is it bright or is it gray compared to the
More
rest?
gray, I feel like.
Yes, there you go. There you go. You're getting it. Um, oh, what about this right here on this edge? Do you see that right here?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That was just kind of a bloop of water that
So it's probably a little bit of a dirty water, but that's all right. Is it lighter or darker than what's beside it?
lighter,
Is it brighter or grayer than what's beside it?
grayer.
There you go. Okay. Woo! Yes.
There is
Woo!
hope.
There is hope. It's funny. I tell Diane we've been working together since 2000. We can't decide if it was 15 or 16. And I tell her I feel like I'm Helen Keller, Ann Sullivan working with Helen Keller. Um, um, this turn, it's a grayed version of an orange. It's not as bright. This is brighter, this is grayer, right?
Yeah.
I know you said it's brown, but it's a grayed version of an orange.
Okay.
Okay. That's
Uh-huh.
why that's why we have to be careful with the word brown because have you add some red to one of your greens and let's see where that's at. Gray a green, one of your greens on your palette, doesn't matter. And then gray a purple and let's see what happens. Let's see those.
Okay, so I'm already confused. So to gray the green, I'm going to add a little red to it.
Yes, you got it.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep, just a tiny bit. Red's a bully. Yeah, you think of what makes up green. Green is made up of a red. The reason I said red, I said green is made up of red. And the reason I said that is because I was looking at a red color, okay? I'm blaming myself. Green is made up of yellow and blue. Good night. So to make it cooler, more blue. To make it warmer, or kind of do like three things here. Okay, I got really good. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Okay. How you doing? Have you done those? I'll give you a moment.
Well, I got the green, I think. I added a little bit of red to that one.
Okay, now try the purple. I'll be right back. I'm gonna give you a moment to play with that.
Okay.
Nancy, I'm gonna run out to the studio. I'll be right back.
Okay. I don't think I did. There's the purple. The gray down purple.
Okay. How you doing?
Okay, I don't know. You tell me. The purple. I don't know. I added a little yellow. Is
Yeah,
that the right thing to do? Okay.
that's right. You got it.
Okay. But it doesn't. I mean, it looks
Say it.
it looks like a pale orange. It's kind of a peachy color.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how I did that.
Well, it depends on which yellow you used.
Well, I tried 52, and then I did it again with the other darker one, 65.
Which one felt better? Well, you know what? Okay, wait a minute. Here's a comment. I'm going to say something here. So you aren't really trying to mix to a color. You're not trying to get pretty color. You're just saying, when I add this and this, I get this. If I want to brighten it a little bit, I add more of that. If I want to warm it a little bit more, I move this. So it's almost like you're taking a color and you're moving it. Do I want warmer, cooler, darker, lighter? So you're moving the color. So you're not really, you're just taking a color and you're graying it down. So right now you're just kind of in this experimental, this fun.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Keep it fun.
You're just playing. So you're just saying, oh, I mixed these two color, I mixed this purple, and if I use this red and this blue, these two colors to make a purple, and if I use this color of yellow, then it changes. Just like when I was doing my orange and I added the blue, I'm like, oh, when I add this blue, it turns it green. I don't want green. I want to gray the orange, not make it into a green. So I'm going to try this blue. And when I added that blue, then it did what I wanted. So there isn't, you have to do this or that. It's like, oh, when I add this blue, it goes green. I don't want green. So I add this blue. Oh, okay, that's a great orange.
Yeah, okay.
So we have the smorgasbord, and there's still another blue, 147. We haven't even tested that one. It's really dark. You don't even know what color it is. So when you actually do a little swipe on it and test it, it's a pretty blue. And then 149 is a nice blue also. Here, I'll flip the camera. And you could try this. Because right now, these two colors look black.
Yeah,
147, 149 almost look black, right?
yeah, really
But
dark.
when you do 149, it's a blue. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, that's pretty.
And it's like a, if I'm going to name that, that's like a cobalt blue. And when I do this 147, it's more of like an ultramarine blue. And do you see how, which one's warmer, which one's cooler? This is a big question.
Yeah. So warmer is more than one on the right hand side.
I would say that, but
And the
I'm
one,
telling you, okay, the debate between which one's warmer and cooler, ultramarine has some red in it. So there's a big debate. Ultramarine, this one's warmer, but in my, this one looks warmer. So that is a debate for even the master painters. But
okay.
yeah, but these two colors come from 143, 145. Those look blue. These two don't even look blue, but when you actually use them, you're like, oh, okay, those are blue.
Yeah.
So, what I'm gonna have you do, oh, take a picture and let me see where your mixes are to make, I want to make sure you're in the right ballpark.
Okay.
Yeah, this, it's too much red.
Yeah.
Red's a bully. Um, when it's a really beautiful skin tone, but it's getting, I would, and when you're going to do this, try to be green without going red. There, that's going to be a good play for you.
Okay.
Same with the purple. Try to be purple. Try to
Yeah. Well,
be,
that's what I kind of what I thought you were wanting me to do, but I wasn't getting there. But I'll keep working on it.
yeah. So what you'll do, here's something that I did. I had a new palette and I wanted to get my greens. So what I did is I took what I do. Um I made I took my palette and I have the ultramarine blue, which is like this,
Uh-huh.
and this one is a Windsor blue, which is like that. So they're two different blues. And then I took ultramarine and added it to my yellow. And I took the Windsor blue and added it to the yellow. So when I use this yellow pale with this blue, I get this type of green.
Okay.
And then I took this blue with the second lemon yellow, like this, like the cool yellow. I got these two with these mixes.
Okay.
So basically what you're going to do with your palette, you're going to start with this yellow. And I'd play with greens because, oh, and do you see how, and then I went to, I took my blue and yellow and add a little bit of red into it. And do you see how it's starting to gray down?
Mm-hmm.
They darken, they gray down. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And these are just the greens, straight from the tube green.
Okay.
So what you'll do is you're gonna make a puddle and use your lemon yellow or 52 and add this blue, 143, and make a little swatch. And then add 52 to 145 and make a new swatch. Try to keep the values, try to keep the values about the same. Do you see they aren't super light or they're not dark, but
Uh-huh.
it's fine if you don't. I'd rather you just play with the color than worry too much on value. So just kind of shoot for that, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And then
Okay.
add 52 and 147 and add 52 to 149.
Okay.
So you're going to get four different flavors of green.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do them in a puddle, if you keep it real clean, not like me in the mess, mix 52 with 143 here, 52 with 145 there. You know, have them in their own little wells, and
Okay.
then add a little bit. Then after you have your marks, then add a little bit of 14. Just take off a little tiny piece of it to the side and
Mm-hmm.
add a little bit of red to it and see what happens. And try to keep it in the green family. And so add a little bit of red to it.
Okay.
And just kind of this is how you can go crazy with this, okay? You can
Yeah.
absolutely drive yourself crazy with this. But that's not, maybe this first go round, just do primary and secondary colors. So try your yellow with the blues. Try your red, pick one red with your blues for the purples. And try one red, try the yellow with the different reds to get oranges. So does that make sense?
So
Mix
I'm
your
gonna use,
secondaries.
so instead of all the greens like originally, we're gonna do.
Yeah, do all the greens. Do one yellow with all the blues. One same yellow with all the reds.
Okay. All right.
Pick one red with all the blues. And if I were going to do that, I would pick that one that you really like. The 32 was a pretty purple. So go with that. Try 32 with all the blues. And
Okay.
then, so you're mixing your secondary colors.
Okay.
So don't mix in a tertiary color is adding the third color. Don't do that yet.
Okay.
Let's keep it simple.
Okay.
And then
That sounds good.
you can make a little chart like I did. The reason I did this, I had new palette. I'm working watercolors first time, 2016. I was doing a plein air. I was going outside all up and down Highway 75, stopping and painting along Highway 75. And I had 75 paintings, little watercolors that I did, sold them, had a show, and sold them $75 a piece. And I was using a palette I wasn't familiar with. So I created this so that I could find the green mixes that I wanted. And I would carry this with me. So I'm like, okay, I want a bright, cool green. So I knew what to mix.
Yeah.
And I used this for about 2 days and then gone.
Cool.
Okay,
Yeah, I can see where that's helpful though.
that's a way for you to understand your palette. You're like, when you said, ooh, number 32 with 143 is a really pretty purple. So if you want a really pretty purple, you know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a really gray purple, a dead purple, you add 14 with, you would add a different combination.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, let's take a stretch. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's working. Okay,
I
now
think so.
we're going to we're going to do a little exercise. Okay, why would you want to gray a color? Why would you want to take a green and add a red? Well, there's two reasons. One, to darken, and two, to gray it. Because our world isn't filled all technicolor, bright color, right? Our
Right.
world has a variety of brights and darks and lights and grays. When you step outside and you look at your green world again, you're going to be like, whoa, it changes. Especially if you look at, you stand, you have a tree or green right near you, and look off in the fields and the distant trees in the distance, and ask yourself, those are green trees, but am I seeing the color green 10 miles away? And you're going to say, no, wait. And then you're going to say, is it lighter? Is it darker? Because sometimes those trees out there are lighter and sometimes they're darker. And you're going to say, wait, that's not green. That's in the early morning, purple.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then you're going to see the green near you is really bright and dark and rich. And the green way out there is grayer. And that's what we're doing as artists. We're mimicking nature and we're able to show depth in our paintings. You can have a little tiny painting, a little 9 by 12 painting that looks like you're looking off into the distance for miles. And it's because the artist used color, value, chroma, and edges. And that's how you get, and it's called atmospheric perspective. So I've got some photos here, so let's do a quick quiz.
Oh no.
So why would you want to gray a color? And let me start with this one. Okay, I'm going to change my camera. Okay. This is in what family?
Purple.
Purple family. And I did not, okay. I made these, all they are printer paper with little squares cut in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And they isolate color. So this was a straight from the tube purple. And okay, we're working with like two different, okay. So value, if I come over here, so I get about the same value as this one,
Mm-hmm.
which one's brighter and which one's grayer?
Brighter is up on the top.
On the top. And this one's a
Mhm.
gray.
That one's grayer.
Okay. Do we have, okay, if I do this, are these bright colors or gray colors?
Gray.
Which one's lighter and which one's darker?
And down at the bottom is darker and up towards the top is lighter.
Awesome. Okay. What about if I go over here? Let's see if you can see it. Let's go with the obvious. Okay. Which one's warmer and which one's cooler?
Warmer down at the bottom.
Yes,
That one warmer.
this one's warmer. Are the values about the same? Do they seem about the same darkness?
They seem, yeah, real similar.
Really close. Okay, good. What about this color? Okay, these two. This one is almost in a different color family though, isn't it?
It looks pinker, kind of.
Give me a
Orangey.
yeah, give me a color family. Is it red? Is it orange? Is it
Yeah, orange.
oranger? Okay. What if I come down in here? This is kind of it's purpley. It's a little bit more purple. It's on the brink of being an orange. Which one's cooler and which one's warmer?
Well, the one on the right would be warmer.
Okay. Let's see if I can capture. Okay. Does this look super light?
Yeah. Well, lighter than the top right above it.
It does. It almost looks like a white streak in there, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
If you were going to paint that, I would want to put white in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look how dark it is.
Yeah. When you isolate it that way, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. And that's what I do with the hands.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go to, I've got this. Oh, this is a white barn. This is a white barn at nighttime. What color is that? What color family?
Um,
If you're going to name a
red,
family. Huh?
more red, orangey red.
Yeah, probably more the orange, isn't it?
I mean, I started to say brown, and no, we don't use that word. So.
That's a bad word. We don't use the word brown in this class. Look, it's almost, what? There's a color hovering over that. What would you say that was?
Hovering over it. From here I'd say purple.
Yes, that's what I see too. Look what happens when I go up in here. It's a little hard to isolate it though. It's too different. There, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
It it feels like there's this layering of, would you say, an orange and a purple kind of doing this vibration?
Yeah, yeah, that would be a good, I guess, way to say it.
That's the beautiful thing about watercolor. Let me see. Let me show you this. This was a kind of a this was a pure accident that I'm like, whoa, that made me look brilliant, like I knew what I was doing.
Don't you love it when that happens?
Accidental genius. That's the best part of watercolor. But do you see this in here?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that beautiful? And like right in there, that warmth, that mix right here is so yummy and gorgeous. And it's because the colors are tickling each other, they're blending, and there's an overlay of one color over another.
Uh-huh.
And there's a
Yeah.
depth that you can get with watercolor with that. You can see color under color. Okay, back to our quiz. All right, this one. Let's talk red. Okay, when we're working in secondary colors, it's easy because we just mix a little bit more to make it warmer or cooler. We just add the yellow or blue, right? But when you're working straight from the tube reds, here is this red is in light, but look at it in shadow.
Yeah.
How would you mix that color to get it darker and cooler?
I would want to try adding some purple,
I would
something
too.
purplish to it to make it darker.
Yeah. But didn't we say to make red darker, we would add what? How do you
To
make
make
red
red
darker?
dark,
Yeah. How do you make green darker?
you add red.
So how do you
So,
make red darker?
so you'd put green with it?
Uh-huh. But this one, I wouldn't add green, would you?
I wouldn't have thought so, no.
I would make it more purple.
So you'd add blue.
Yeah. But to gray down. So,
Yeah.
okay, hang with me here.
Okay.
That's this is where, let me show you. I'll go I'll go this route. Okay. So we have this bright red, which feels like it's that real pretty red. Oh, illusion. Okay, I lost myself. Okay, so if I were to take the 32, it feels like that red
Mm-hmm.
here. Um, That's the 32, but it feels like it's a little bit, oh yeah, that feels good. And it feels almost like it's a little bit warmer than that. So if I just drop a little bit of warmth, I'm doing something really bad. Don't watch me. I'm mixing on the painting. You're not supposed to do that, but I'm just trying to get this color up here. Okay.
Oh.
And my palette is annoying, so I'm just going to do it. Don't do what I'm doing. So I'm mixing this color right here, but I want to make it darker, right? And we know by adding green, it's going to make it darker. Green, if I use yellow and blue. Trying to remember which green. Okay, if I add green into this, it's going to darken it. But I like the purple. So if I add the purple, which is blue and red, if I add just purple to it, it darkens it, but not enough. So if I go in with some of that green into the purple, because that's kind of a dark grayed green. It's, no, I said the wrong word. A dark grayed purple, right? That's not a bright purple. That's a
Right.
grayed purple. So to gray purple, we add a little bit of yellow. So let's see what happens. So this is where I'm like, oh, this is almost impossible to do because we need acrylic paints to do this.
Well, I mean, it kind of looks like it's coming down where the paint's puddling sort of down there on the bottom. That looks, yeah.
Yeah, that's getting darker, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
So the the moral of this story is I've got my red and I have my blue to get purple, but it's not a bright purple, it's a gray purple. So to gray purple, I would have to add
Yellow.
yellow. So then it becomes this balance.
Yeah.
So it starts with red. This looks purple, but when you say, is it a bright purple or a gray purple?
It's definitely gray. It's
Gray.
dark. Yeah.
And I always have one of my students say, but aren't you using red, all the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow? Right?
Yeah.
And I am. So I've got the red. I add the blue to make it more purple, but I want to gray the purple, so I add the yellow. So I'm using the primary colors. But you got to start, you can't just make a puddle of all three colors. Otherwise, you end up with a dead brown. So you have to start with the green or the red, and then you put some green in it, or blue. Start with the red, you add some blue to get the purple, then you add the yellow to gray it down.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's look at one more thing. So I'm gonna flip camera again.
I was gonna say, you realize that it's like 11:30 or so.
We're almost done. We're gonna wrap her up.
All right. That's okay.
We're gonna wrap this baby up. Okay, this roof. What color family am I in?
Orange.
It's orange, isn't it? I was hoping it was red because I was gonna say, okay, which one's warmer? Okay, let's just do this. Which one's warmer? Which one's warmer? We're
I
gonna
think the bottom, the
Yes,
orangey is a warmer color.
that's warmer. Exactly. Which one's brighter?
The red top one.
The top one. You got it. Let's do some greens. Okay, let's do this.
Greens are hard.
Greens are a nightmare. I spent a year studying greens. Okay, which one's warmer? Oh, wait.
I was gonna say I can't see the bottom very well, but there it is.
Okay, which one's warmer?
The one on the bottom.
Which one's, ooh, which one's darker?
The one on the top.
Okay, which one is brighter?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to go with the one on the top.
Yes, you got it.
The bottom one just to look at it looks dull. So I
Yes,
guess, but when you say bright, I see that more in the top.
yes. This is grayer. It's lighter, it's warmer, but it's grayer. Brilliant. A A plus plus. Okay, let's go over here. Okay. Which
Mhm.
one's brighter?
Let's still go with the one on the left.
I would too. To make this one is a little bit lighter or darker?
A little lighter.
Okay. What color? And we're to lighten things, we could either use white in the world of acrylics. In the world of acrylics, we can add white or we could add yellow. White to cool, yellow to warm, both to lighten. What color would you add, white or yellow, to lighten this?
Yellow.
Is this
No, you're not saying anything. So I must be want to add white to that.
you would add white because it's a warm green or a cool green?
Well, by that theory, I would say it must be a cool.
It's still in the cool family, but it's not. I would add white to lighten it.
Okay.
How about here? This is a little bit more obvious. How about this one? Do you add white or yellow?
Well, it looks like it's got white kind of in it, so I would put white with it.
You put white, yes. But can you like zip in? Okay, let's zip into this. This is definitely whiter, a cooler. It's cooler. What about that? What is that? Is that warm or cool?
Well, that looks warmer. It looks more yellowish, kind of.
Yes. Do you see the difference? This is a cool and this is a warm.
Mm-hmm.
Can you feel it? Does it make sense? You gotta stay out of your head and what you think it should be, because I do that too. Greens are a mess. Even down here. Let's go down here. Which one's warmer, left or right? This one or this one?
I don't know. Left.
I would say that one. This one it feels a little bit cooler than this,
Yeah.
but not as cool as that. Okay, these two comparison. Which one's warmer?
I can't see that much difference in them from this perspective.
Yeah, we're looking through cameras there. There we go. It was too light. There, can you see it now? This one in relationship to that one is warmer. This one's cooler than that. But when I go over here, this one's cooler than that. So just kind of let that, you're like, wait, Michelle,
If you say so.
wait. So when you're out, grab a green with your left hand and grab a green with your right. And say, okay, in comparison, this one down here is warmer and this one up here is cooler. Now try to find a green that is warmer than this one that makes this one look cool. So color, it's relative. It's warmer than this or cooler than that. It's very fluid.
Mhm.
It isn't just one name. Does it make sense?
Starting to.
Okay, so now that I'm getting ready to confuse you, and let's leave you at a good point. So skies. The skies are really fun. When you look straight up, it's going to be darker, and you go outside and look at straight up and look at it to the horizon, capture it. And I'll show you. Let me flip one more time and I'll show you what I mean. Skies aren't blue, all one color blue. I'll show you this. I, I stopped and took a photo. I stood in the middle of the road and took a picture going, this is going north and this is going east. And look at the sky.
Mhm.
So I snapped the picture east. I turned and snapped a picture north. And look at the this is the same sky, but see the variation in color of the
Oh
sky?
yeah, it's a big difference. Yeah.
Huge. And oh, the one of the barn, this was going west. So this is the same sky, but it's the direction I was facing. It's the same sky, same times, but the sky changed that much.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you're looking at a sky, we think it's all one color. But when you actually um, use your fingers and compare, the sky at the top right above you is darker. In this sky, skies change. You can never really say one or another, but usually in the horizon, it's going to be lighter and grayer because it's further away because the sky above you is closer and darker. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So which one's a grayer color, the top or the bottom?
The bottom.
Which one's lighter, top or bottom?
The bottom.
Yeah. So it isn't one color of blue. It varies. And even with that said, if you go left to right, I did a series of prairie paintings, and that was cool. The sky from left to right, when you're out, take one hand, your left hand, and capture the left sky, and the right sky, and look at the difference of the color. Because this isn't working because the sun is coming this way, but
Mhm.
depending where the sun is and everything, there's going to be a different color of blue. Okay,
Okay.
I think we're done.
Okay. Thank you. That was a lot for a beginning session. Very good though. Thank you.
Yeah, the color theory, I'm like, okay, we had so much here. Let me stop.